Boom, baby. Welcome to a boom breakdown. Breaking down UFC London. I probably should have just sang Sweet Caroline. Oh, oh, oh. Good times never seem so good. No, but that's Darren Till's jam right there. Breaking down UFC London, Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal is the main event. We'll start with that. Darren Till coming off his first loss, obviously, to Tyron Woodley. I think, he really wants to get redemption off of that loss. It was one of those fights that he went in there, didn't really perform at all, didn't really throw many punches at all. Didn't really try to go for it. I think he kind of froze up in there in the moment, and Tyron Woodley took advantage of it, landed that right hand, caught him on the ground with the submission, and choked him out there. So Darren Till's back home fighting in London, trying to get redemption in his hometown crowd, which is a big advantage for him. I think he performs well in front of the home crowd, and he feeds off that energy. So we'll see how that works out for him. But what a breath of fresh air that Jorge Masvidal has been all week. I just like the guy's attitude, his mentality towards fighting. He's not about that shit talking. He's not about that shtick and trying to be this outgoing, outlandish person that just says stuff just to get attention and headlines, and he's just all business, you know what I mean? Just ready to fight. A raw fighter, came from the backyard fights way back in the day, and a guy like that has no fear. He's not afraid to fight anybody. So I think Till could sense that, and I think that this is gonna make for a good fight. Two guys that are most likely willing to engage in the striking realm of things and not so much in the takedowns. I mean, it's like 0% chance that Till's going to shoot a takedown. You might see Masvidal pull some game plan shit and try to clinch up with him and land a couple trips or takedowns just because I think he has the edge in the wrestling department. But Masvidal is most likely, going to lean towards striking. That's what he usually does in there. That's what he does best. And he's a really high fighter IQ in there with his strikes. He's a tricky guy. I think you can learn a lot fighting a guy like that when you're in there with him. Darren Till's going to be the bigger guy, but sometimes that doesn't play much of a role. Sometimes that plays more of a role if you are heavy in grappling. A heavy big guy on top of you, that's hard to deal with. If you're moving, if you're elusive, if you're able to avoid shots and land your own, sometimes that helps you. Although, even though Till is the bigger guy, I don't necessarily give the speed advantage to Masvidal. I think it's pretty even, the speed advantage. No advantage really. I think it's even with the speed. I do think Masvidal has a little bit more tools in his bag. I think he's a little bit trickier, and he throws a lot of feints and a lot of tricks out there and kind of keeps you guessing, and then he'll land something after that. And Till is just kind of like, okay, watch out for this left hand, left uppercuts, left straights, left overhands, and he's not much of a kicker, but he will throw a couple leg kicks in there. Mostly left kicks, leg kicks, and a couple kicks to the body. But Till will throw kicks at different angles, side kicks, front snap kicks, leg kicks. So I think Masvidal will throw a little bit more variety in the kick area. So I think that he has a little bit more diversity to his game, and that might play a role in this fight, but I would give this slight power advantage to Till. So you just got to watch out for that early power shot. If you're Masvidal, play it a little smart in the early going in the fight. Pick your shots, take your time, and slowly make Till feel uncomfortable, outpoint him, outstrike him, and go from there. Little espresso, baby. Can't go wrong with that. But ultimately, with a fight pick, I'm going to have to go with Till. I think he's going to rebound nicely off of that last fight. If you don't perform and you don't really go in there and let it all hang out, sometimes that wakes your ass up and it gives you that fire that you need to go in there and perform and just be free and let everything go. And I think he's going to come out aggressive, and I think that the power is going to have a lot to do with it. I think that being that Masvidal is a guy that will strike with you and will take shots to give shots, you really don't know what it feels like till you take it. So I think, Till has a good chance at landing that left hand eventually early on in the first couple of rounds and hurting Masvidal. And I think that might be the case. I think he might get the TKO win, maybe round 2 or round 3. I'm going to go with Darren Till by TKO. But let's be honest. Finishing Masvidal is a tough task. I don't see many guys finishing Masvidal. I just think that Till has the power to do so. I wouldn't be surprised if the fight goes 5 rounds and, it comes down to the judges. And who knows if that's the case, if it does go 5 rounds, might give it to Masvidal if that's the case. But my instinct's saying Till gets it done within 3 rounds. Co-main event, Leon Edwards, Gunnar Nelson. Man, Gunnar Nelson's last fight, really impressed with the way that he finished Cowboy Oliveira, because that guy's a gamer too. And not many guys are hurting that guy and putting that guy away. But once Gunnar gets you down on the ground, it's like a lost cause. He has such a really strong base. He's so good positionally. He knows how to advance from being, in half guard to passing to side mount to crossing over to mount and finishing from there, whether it's strikes or making you give up your back to get the rear naked choke. He's just so efficient on the ground. His striking has come a long way. He's got that karate style. He's pretty fast. He's a little bit hard to gauge on the feet because he closes distance really fast, and he's a little bit awkward. Leon Edwards is probably the more athletic guy in there. I would say he's probably more well-rounded as far as putting things together on the feet. But if it goes to the ground, you give the advantage to Gunnar Nelson all day against pretty much anybody in the world. So my thing is, can Gunnar Nelson get this guy down? Can he find his way inside, use that wrestling, take him down, control him, keep him down? That's going to be the main key ingredient for Gunnar Nelson to win this fight. Leon Edwards, he's got the range, he's got the distance, he's got the striking to, move and be elusive and be outside on Gunnar and try to land some shots from the outside and not be taken down. He could probably keep him at bay, try to use those straight punches to keep Gunnar Nelson away. And I think that he could do well if he can use that to his advantage. But Gunnar Nelson is most likely going to close the distance, in my opinion, and be able to find his way to a takedown. He seems to be pretty efficient with that as well. But the reason why he is successful at that is because he's not afraid to strike. So when you get a guy that's not afraid to strike, he's not afraid to engage, he's going to be quick, he's going to throw some snappy power shots, and you start to gain respect from your opponent. And now they don't really see the takedown coming because they are a little bit worried about the strikes. So it just makes the takedown a little bit more successful than if you were a guy like Damian Maia, per se, that just pretty much shows you that he wants to take you down. That's all he could do. That's all he wants to do. Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to defend something like that. So I see Gunnar Nelson working his way slowly, starting off the fight where he's landing a couple of blitz strikes, and finds his way to get Leon Edwards to the cage, gets that takedown, and then it's game over from there, man. I think Gunnar Nelson, is just far superior on the ground. I am interested to see, though, if Leon Edwards' athleticism, if he could get back up to his feet if he gets taken down. If that's the case, it's going to be tough. I think Gunnar Nelson really wouldn't finish this fight unless it was by submission on the ground or TKO due to strikes, maybe if he had mount or something like that. So he's got to keep Leon Edwards down if he does get him down, and then I think he'll get the finish. I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson by submission, round 2. Boom! You know me. I got the fucking sniffles. Deviated septum all day. Fighter problems. Take a sip. Cheers. Moving on. Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes, hot prospect in the light heavyweight division. Volkan Ozdemir coming off a loss. And always a dangerous guy, though, to fight. But when you're fighting a guy like Dominic Reyes with the confidence that he has right now, he's a big light heavyweight, tall guy, packs a lot of power, has the reach advantage. Volkan Ozdemir is a guy who throws some heavy hooks, but I think he's going to have to really, really get inside on Dominic Reyes to hurt him and not let Dominic Reyes get his game off. Dominic Reyes is really well versed in the clinch. He's good with knees in there. He's got power, and man, the guy's really impressive at light heavyweight. He's got kicks too. You know, he's not a slow guy for a big guy, and he's been putting guys away. He's been knocking out other high level guys that it's been very impressive to see. So I'm interested to see how Volkan bounces back. He's gone through some legal troubles. I think he moved camps to somewhere else. I don't think he's in Florida for this fight. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays a role. And but to me, to make it quick, I go with Dominic Reyes in this fight. I just think that his momentum right now is the key. It's very powerful when you have a lot of momentum behind you. You have a lot of confidence. That plays a big factor in these fights and how you let go of things and how you perform. So I'm going to go with Dominic Reyes by knockout in the first round. And I say first round because I think Volkan Ozdemir is a guy who is not careless or reckless, but a guy that's trying to take your head off right from the get-go. No hesitancy. And I think it'll be the same time this time around. And I think that Dominic Reyes is going to catch him in the midst of that and put him out. Dominic Reyes, KO, round 1. Interesting fight, bantamweight division. Nathaniel Wood coming off a big win. He's fighting Jose Alberto Quinones. Gets 3 names on the list. Look at that guy. Special, huh? Fucking middle name action right there. I think Nathaniel Wood is like a very crisp fighter. He's very technical. He doesn't make many mistakes in there. He's well-rounded. He has good straight punches, good striking, keeps his chin tucked, hands up. He's got good jiu-jitsu on the ground, very crisp at finding your back and taking a submission. Did I say crisp twice? Fucking crispy. Yeah, I don't know. Jose Quinones is just one of those gamers that's wild. You know, he's a scrapper, but not as efficient as Nathaniel Wood, not as smart as a fighter, it seems like, and not as technical. So I really give the edge to Nathaniel Wood in this fight everywhere. I don't know about wrestling. Wrestling, it might be pretty even, but it will most likely get negated. And I think that if the fight does hit the ground, that Nathaniel Wood will be able to find his way to a better position and perhaps a submission as well. But I give Nathaniel Wood the striking advantage. Maybe Jose Alberto Quinones can land a wild shot. It's always possible. I just don't see it happening. Once again, momentum is behind Nathaniel Wood in this fight. He's got Brad Pickett in his corner, who I was a fan of, coming up, and I liked his style. I liked his fight attitude, and I love the hat that he would come out in. And I think that's cool if he gets to wear his hat to come out to this fight. That would be awesome to see in London. I think the fans would appreciate that, and he deserves so. So Reebok, step that shit up, baby. But yeah, I'm going Nathaniel Wood. I think it might go decision. He's not the biggest power puncher. He's not the most devastating finisher, but he does catch submissions and he does finish some guys. Quinones is game enough, I think, to take it 3 rounds, make it a competitive fight. I just think that Nathaniel Wood is going to outpoint him everywhere. He's going to outstrike him. He's going to cut off the cage. He's going to use his kickboxing, his Muay Thai, and Quinones is going to be looking to land that wild shot to finish the fight, and I just don't see it happening. So I will go with Nathaniel Wood by decision. Sniffle, sniffle. Danny Roberts, Claudio Silva. This is where we start getting quick with the picks. I'm just going to go down the card a little bit, and then I'll get to a couple of fan questions. I'm going with Danny Roberts by decision. Jack Marshman versus John Phillips. I'm going to go with Jack Marshman by TKO, round 2. Preliminary card. Arnold Allen with the flashy mustache. The guy's a funny guy, man. If you ever heard him in his interviews, he's got funny stuff to say. His dad is supposedly like some power lifter or something like that, but I like this guy. He's got a cool personality, funny guy. I'm going to go with Arnold Allen If he wasn't a UFC fighter, he would for sure be a cop. That's what he looks like. But yeah, I'll go with Arnold Allen. Although Jordan Rinaldi is a game fighter who is really, really well versed in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and out positioning guys on the ground. I just think that Arnold Allen has that strength, that athleticism to negate that. Arnold Allen by decision. Mark Jacasey versus Joseph Duffy. I give the speed advantage to Duffy. Got the better boxing. And we've seen Mark Jacasey kind of fold in fights if he's having a tough time. I think he's coming off 3 losses, so his back's against the fence. That's always a dangerous guy to fight. So we'll see, but I'm going to go with Duffy by TKO. Nikolai Negaramanu. Can't say that last name. I'll just call him Nikolai versus Saparbek Safarov. I know nothing about these two, so I'm going to skip on that. Got to be honest, right? Keep it loyal to the fans here. Tom Breese versus Ian Heinisch. I'm going to go with Ian Heinisch. Danny Henry versus Dan Ige. I'm going to go with Dan Ige. And Molly McCann versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm going to go with the hometown girl, Molly McCann. Mike Grundy versus Nad Narimani. I'm going to go with Mark Grundy, the hometown guy as well. I think he's Darren Till's training partner. So if he's training with Darren leading up to this fight, that's iron sharpens iron right there. So I'm going to go with Grundy. Let's get to a couple of fan questions. See what we got here. Let's see. And I was going to talk about the Conor McGregor incident, but who really gives a shit? I mean, the guy's so famous. Obviously, people are going to take their phones out when they see you, but who the hell knows? Was he drunk? Was he on some drugs? Who knows? It's all speculation. What did the guy say? We don't know what the guy said. I know Conor McGregor has a bodyguard with him all the time, so you would think that the bodyguard would just kind of like steer people away, but apparently Conor got up to this guy, grabbed the phone, smashed it, and took it with him for a stroll. So, I don't know. Guy keeps getting in trouble. Hopefully he gets back to fighting and we see some of those fun press conferences. I really miss those, especially with Nate Diaz on the other side. Like, that was just so much fun to watch. You know, Conor McGregor's rise was just such an amazing thing to see. A superstar come up like that with so much fan attention, so much charisma. A lot of funny quotes and a lot of wittiness in the press conferences, and I really miss that. You know, it's been a while since we've seen something like that to that level. So hopefully he gets back. From Keith Kelleher, we got to throw out the older brother because I know he's going to watch this. And he says, who do you think will be the bantamweight champion on January 1st, 2020? Now, I'm an honest guy. I'm a humble guy, but I got to be confident and I got to say fucking Brian Boom Kelleher, right? Or else he's going to get on me and say, no, motherfucker, you're the champ. Champ. So what could I say? But in all reality, I'd have to win like 5 fights this year to make that happen. So that's highly unlikely because usually you get like 3 fights in a year. So I'm going to win 3 fights this year, back on track, fight a top 10 guy by the end of the year. That's my goal. As long as he could keep that confidence that he had before the Cejudo thing even happened, I see TJ being the more well-rounded fighter at 135 against most of these guys. You know, Marlon Moraes poses threats. He has very good Muay Thai, very good kicks. He's fast, great submission skills. He's big for the weight class, but TJ's just more diverse. Such a hard guy to get to. And he's just different than other guys. I just think he's a little more tricky. He's able to switch stances and fight equally as skilled from both sides. So I see TJ Dillashaw still being the champion January 1st, 2020. Next question. What do you think? This is from Big Bang MMA. What do you think of other MMA organizations such as Bellator, ONE FC having tournaments for a division title? I think tournaments are really fun. I think it brings a different aspect as a fan to see how things play out. It's a true who's the best guy type of scenario. It's none of this fans want to see this. This guy talks a lot, so he gets the little, the head start. He jumps the line because of this. I don't really like that as far as a true sport goes. I really like how the tournament brings that real aspect out. Like, this guy beats this guy, he moves on. This guy beats this guy, he moves on. Okay, well, who's better? Who's the best guy? Who truly is the best guy out of all these top-level fighters in this bracket? And you find that out in the end, and I think that's the best way to go about it that way. It's obviously not feasible for every scenario in mixed martial arts. As a sport, obviously, you got to work your way up, and when you do a tournament like that, you kind of hold up the guys in the tournament from the rest of the division, so that's tough. But it definitely is captivating, interesting to see, and I think that these other promotions are doing it right by doing things different from the UFC, who is the NFL of MMA, so it's cool to see. I just don't see the UFC ever really jumping on that. They kind of do it discreetly on a card. They'll have a bunch of heavyweights or a bunch of welterweights, and they'll figure out matchmaking wise on where they want to place those guys if they win or if they lose, and they have that, I'm sure, in their head what they want to do. It's kind of like a tournament in their own head, but not announced to the public. So it's a cool thing to see, but UFC is probably not going to announce a big tournament anytime soon. All right. What are your thoughts? This is from Max, Raging Max. What are your thoughts on the whole drama around Paulo Costa's supposed drug test fail? Costa versus Romero being suspiciously canceled, Costa's management denying everything, and Yoel immediately retracting the statements he made on Helwani's podcast. Well, here's the thing about this. If Costa, if he failed a drug test, it's really nobody's business, to get to say that besides himself at this point. With the way that USADA works now, they give you that privacy legitimacy where you are able to get, remain innocent until it comes out, until it's official, until they prove it. So they don't want people to just start judging you and start speculating it was this, it was that. Now, Paulo Costa looks like a guy who might take more than just, vitamins and protein, but who the fuck knows? You really never know. It could be a genetic freak. Same thing with Yoel Romero. The guy's a genetic freak. He's like 42 years old. He's killing people that are like in their 30s, young 30s, high 20s. He's competing with these guys. So you never know. USADA's on top of their game right now. People are getting random drug tested all over the place any time of the day. So it's hard to beat the system, but there is always ways, I feel, that these scientists come up with. If you got a lot of money, you could always find a way to do some sneaky shit. But it is weird that the fight's canceled suspiciously. I really wanted to see that fight. I thought there was a lot of hype behind that fight. Two big, explosive guys that were going to get in there and see where Paulo Costa fit in that division at middleweight and see if Yoel Romero was still going to be a title challenger or if, Costa was going to take that spot. I really was interested to see that fight. It sucks that it got canceled, but obviously something happened and they're just not going to release the truth yet. That's how it's working now, if there is a failed drug test. And of course, Paulo Costa's management's going to defend him and keep it, under wraps and however Yoel found out is kind of fucked up. Somebody through the grapevines released some information, if that's the truth and he really does know something. Otherwise, how the hell would he know? I don't know. You never know how things get through the gyms. Sometimes people tell their friends and training partners, and then those people tell other people. It could have got out to Yoel somehow, but who knows? Hopefully no one that works for the UFC or that should have kept their mouth shut opened their mouth. That's kind of messed up, but we'll see what happens. I really have no say on the matter because I'm one of those guys that thinks you're innocent till you're proven guilty. I'm not going to jump on it and be like, oh, he's definitely juicing, he's taking steroids. You don't know. Do you see him doing that, So it's all under speculation, and we'll see what comes out from USADA's end, from the UFC's end. I'm sure we'll find out soon. So sucks we don't get to see the fight, though. Hopefully they make that fight in the future. Which fighter, this is from Full Contact Radio, which fighter on the London card do you think is poised to have a breakout performance? Let's see. Breakout performance. I would say Nathaniel Wood for bantamweight because he's still a prospect. Not really, but he's doing well so far in his UFC career. I just don't think he's fighting the caliber of a guy in Quinones to really be that breakout fight. So I wouldn't say that just because of the matchup. Man, I mean, the main event's big. It's either Jorge Masvidal puts himself in a position to be in title contention from being, I don't even know if he's in the top 10 in the rankings right now, or Darren Till really rebounds and resets his career and makes another run at 170 if he gets the win, because we got a new champion. So the doors are open now for him to fight Usman or Colby or whoever is champion. Tyron Woodley, if he comes back, you got the rematch. Masvidal wins. He puts himself in a position to fight all these guys because he hasn't fought Woodley, hasn't fought Usman, hasn't fought Colby. So that fight's going to be the biggest breakout, I think. But that's for divisional purposes, not for actual fighter breakout. I don't know. I mean, I think it's bigger for Masvidal. If he wins, he really puts himself up there for title contention. I don't think he's been there. He's just been a guy that's been, in the business for a long time. That's been game bred, of course, always game, and everyone likes to see him fight. Likes his style. He gets in there and scraps. So we'll see. I think he's definitely one guy to look for. If he wins, that's big things for him. Other than that, Leon Edwards, Gunnar Nelson, that's another one. Gunnar Nelson, man, he beats Leon Edwards. That's a guy who's up there as a big hype guy, prospect as well. Gunnar Nelson coming off a big win. If he has two big wins, he's probably going to get a really, really big fight next after that and make his way up in the welterweight division. So that'd be interesting to see what happens after that fight. Maybe we see like a Gunnar Nelson versus Cowboy Cerrone or some shit. I don't know. You never know. But that's more breakout fight talk than it is breakout performance. If either Darren Till or Masvidal could finish the fight, that's a breakout performance right there. Because both of these guys are hard to finish. I'd say Masvidal's even the harder guy to finish because we've seen Till finish in his last fight. But if one of these guys can finish the other, that's going to be really, really impressive. That's going to be a big statement. I would say that's just the breakout performance right there. That's my opinion. And so that's it, guys. That's the UFC London card. That's what we got for you this week. Nice and short and sweet. I'm sure we'll be back next week for the next card. If there is a card, I'm not too sure. I think so. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, BrianBoom135. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on there, Brian Kelleher. Probably if you type Boom Breakdown, you'll see me come up a little bit. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time, baby. Boom.